It's going. Hey y'all, welcome back. This is episode 3 of the Raising Liberty podcast. My name is Danielle, and I'm here with my husband,
Jeremy.
And today we just wanted to talk about, it's Family Friday. So we're going to talk about chasing your child's dreams and a few tips. Nice little short episode.
Totally. So you have 5 tips?
I do. So the first one is, it might be common sense to some people, but just to pay attention and take notes and keep kind of a running file of your child's interests, any opportunities that you find that could develop those interests.
Yeah, with this stuff, you know how kids are interested in one thing one week and another thing the next. You just follow that course. Anytime it's more than just a toy, if they're interested in learning about the stars or interested in art or whatever it is kids can get into, they're all just clues to what kinds of activities they might enjoy doing as adults. So if you keep a tally of the things they really liked to do, year in, you probably got several clues that can help you triangulate the kinds of jobs that your kids would find fulfilling. They have material for adults who still haven't figured that out. 30, 40, 50 year olds buy books and read material and do exercises like that What Color's Your Parachute book, just to figure this out. If you can figure this out for your kids, you will do something for them that most of our parents didn't do for us. Mm-hmm. And that's important work.
Yep. And so number 2 is prepare for the time and money. You will need a budget. And you will need to set aside time to plan for it and we have little conference sessions with Abigail now to see where she's at and keep it going.
We haven't really done a lot of budgeting.
No, we haven't, unfortunately.
But yeah, we have had to make economic choices when it comes to taking our kids' interests and trying to expand on them. Like our oldest son, Nikolai, said he likes cooking. And so we tried to set him up with something to cook every Sunday. Now that interest kind of waned. It's kind of in a waning point right now. But we wouldn't be able to give him practice doing that every day.
Yeah.
Well, unless we're just having him cook breakfast every day or something. So there's probably a way. But as far as deliberate practice, like as though it were exercises, we had to decide how that was going to be structured, in part based on the money it cost.
Yep. All right, number 3. You have to create some kind of structure. It needs to be simple, but they need to have it clear in their heads what's expected every day.
So what she means with point 3, some structure, I mean, that's probably pretty obvious to a lot of parents, whether you've begun homeschooling or you're just thinking about it, whether you send them to school and just
have to enforce
their homework. Obviously, structure matters, whether it's you limiting the time they spend on a screen or the time they spend outside with their friends or just forcing them to prioritize at that age, at your younger ages. They need your help, and that's what we're here for, right? So with Abigail, she was old enough to understand. She understood enough of the basics that we were able to just give her a really simple curriculum around her interest. So she said, I'm interested in this, and so we gave her a simple curriculum, a daily routine.
Yeah.
first she was getting into fashion design, and that lasted a few weeks, maybe longer. I mean, she had talked about it a lot more than a few weeks. I think still part of her brain rests on that, but she's been much more into art lately. So what we did in that example, it might be one of the easier examples, but if we're happy to think up additional examples if you guys have like um, tougher obstacles or examples than we do. But with art, we opened her up an Instagram account, and she posts all of her material on there. The point of that is to get a following that she can later on potentially monetize, turn into customers, and she could also make a few contacts along the way. But mostly it's just to build a following and so that her portfolio will be somewhere easily accessible and digitized. So she has that. She has a certain number of projects she needs to get done a week. If it's a simple project, so that might be like one a day from Monday through Friday. And she gets to do one of her choosing and one of ours based on the medium that we choose for her, that we bought supplies for her over the weekend. So she's had a watercolor week, she's had a charcoal week. She had, the point is to produce, in this case, and almost anything you want to create, anything your child is creating, it's much better that they create many of them than just ask them. If you had them just do one a week, they would probably put it off. But even if they worked on it all week, they would be trying to make it perfect. And for them to get better, starting from an amateur, the position of an amateur, you don't want them pouring over one, unless that's just the choice they made, to spend like 2 or 3 of their days on one epic piece. If they feel like they'll come to that point on their own. I remember there were some pieces I spent a lot more time on than others, and that was when I had reached a certain point where I was ready to like really implement whatever techniques I'd been using for months or whatever. But anyway, in general, you want 5 pieces. It shouldn't take more than an hour or two each one, and they've got all day. So having one piece of their choosing, any medium, and one piece of your choosing, the medium of the week, and that works out pretty well. Then she reads 2 articles, one related to the medium, like this past week it was watercolor, or this week it's been watercolor, and then one of their choosing, again, not art related. It's specifically not related to art. So the point of that is to give them something counterintuitive. If they learn something random each day, as well as continuing to learn more about their field of interest, it gives them more plot points, or who calls them pegs?
Susan Weisbauer from The Well-Trained Mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or pegs. And they can connect all of that stuff later on, and they might end up discovering additional interests in the process. So some counterintuitive work, some stuff that isn't related to the field is still good, and the reading practice, of course, is good. And she's got to write a little bit about each thing. She keeps a journal, a daily journal of her art, and the journal serves as a record of what she got done that day and what she wants to do the next day, which is also important for them to visualize what their target is the following day. So they wake up and they already have that in mind. So even if they change their plans, it's still more efficient than if they just wake up and start coming up with what they want to do that day. That's like staring at your blank page, your empty canvas. It's always hardest to get started. So planting the seeds of action the day before, that's important for anybody of any age in any scenario. But that's why it's a part of her curriculum. And then she keeps track of, at minimum, the titles of the articles she wrote, and that's the proper title, so she can go find it again if she needs to. And then any notes that she finds pertinent. We gave her that choice. We didn't require any notes. We don't require. There may be times where an essay or something like that seems appropriate. We'll certainly assign it. It's organic. We're not structuring it that far. It's when a particular type of activity or exercise would benefit her the most in a given situation. So that's kind of, so she wakes up. Those 2 articles are supposed to come first. We're still working on our sleep schedule's a little off right now, and we're still working on the timing of everything. But the articles are earlier in the day because that's a more structured activity, and the mind is better at decision making and structure. So we understand in the earlier part of the day, and it's easier to be creative in the latter part of the day when some of those things, some of those walls and barriers might have relaxed, I guess. So, so that's why her projects come later in the day. Did I miss anything out of her curriculum?
The audiobook that we haven't started because we're going to do it together.
Which was how to be a... Wait, what was
The
it?
Education of Millionaires.
Education of Millionaires. Who wrote that?
I honestly have forgotten.
Okay. So yeah, that's something we're all going to do together, and we haven't begun it. That's just important for every child to get something that they won't get out of your public education, or they won't get naturally from any parent who's not already doing it. We are certainly not entrepreneurs. We want to be more entrepreneurial, but if you want your child to learn that risks are worth taking, and of course, measuring and taking, and you want them to be able to enter the market, compete, achieve, work for themselves if that's what they want to do. Being able to do those things, it requires that kind of independent, mindset. So the Education of Millionaires is just the first audiobook we're going to work through together. We're all going to be able to benefit from that. And I did say 2 articles. We're flexible on that. If she wanted to listen to a podcast, she could do that. If she wanted to watch a video,
Right.
she could do that. But 2 pieces of 2 presentations of information, basically.
And if you've heard of Praxis, that's where we actually got the idea for that book. It's the first thing they tell high schoolers to do to get ready. So, yeah, check out that book. And this kind of goes along with it. The next point is to hold them accountable. So, we just kind of talked about that. We communicate a lot with Abigail. We sit down and talk with her almost every day about what she's doing and make sure that we're all on the right track together.
Right. Your kids, and this is true of anybody you deal with, especially if you're an employer, but even your friends and family, if you care about something, you have to follow up. So if you give someone a task, as a parent or an employer or a manager of some kind, and you don't follow up, you might have said it was important, but what you're doing with your actions is you're showing them that it doesn't matter that much, and they'll learn that they don't have to do an excellent job, and sometimes don't even have to do the task in order to satisfy you. You were satisfied the moment you issued the task and walked away. So yeah, it's a follow-up's huge, and talking with Abigail every day shows her that it's on our minds and that we're interested in what she's doing, and that she's going to have to answer to us if she suffers a setback. It's not scary. It's not supposed to be scary, but it's just supposed to be something that happens. Like if she knows she's going to have to tell us if she fell behind with something or didn't get to something on a given day.
Yep. And finally, make sure you celebrate those wins. We haven't really talked about how we're going to do that yet, but it's important.
Yeah, I had a manager named Ben who went by many different credos, but one of them was a behavior praised is one repeated. So that's really what celebration is about. If they accomplish something, if they do a great job in a week, it might not be. Your kids aren't going to measure up to you, at their age. They're not supposed to. So you're measuring them against themselves, and celebrating their growth, celebrating their progress. So when you're homeschooling, you don't have that report card, which is good because the report cards, there's a lot that it doesn't say, but it's still a tool that most parents use to celebrate or whatever the opposite of that is. Coach their kids. But for us homeschoolers, it's about actual accomplishments. They kind of, like with Abigail, it would be like if she produced a piece of art that kind of represented her gaining a level of expertise. Like, wow, we've never seen anything like this from you. This is, publishable, et cetera, et cetera. Not that she's publishing everything, but yeah, celebrate every win, celebrate the small things, and you will keep your momentum going and keep morale high. So it's important.
Yep. All right, guys, those were our 5 tips. Anything that we mentioned will be in the show notes. And
yep. If there's anything you guys use, any techniques you guys already use that you found work, or you have any additional feedback about our tips, please, is there a comment section?
Yeah, you can comment on the website where the episodes are, or just send us a message on Facebook or Instagram or wherever we are.
We post them there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds easier than websites are so cumbersome to go to these days. So give us some feedback. If there's something you thought should be on the list, let us know.
And have a great weekend.
Yeah.
We'll talk to y'all next time.
See ya.